I.J. Ayer, language, truth, and logic. Dive into a world where the quest for understanding transcends centuries-old traditions and explores the very essence of truth and meaning. Ayer Ayer's seminal work, Language, Truth, and Logic, serves as a groundbreaking exploration of logical positivism, a philosophy that seeks to redefine how we perceive reality. This summary unravels the shift from metaphysical speculations to the concrete realm of scientific verification. Logical positivism challenges the influence of theology and ethics in philosophical discourse, advocating for a world solely interpreted through what can be observed and proven. From analyzing language's pivotal role in shaping thought to demystifying the nature of verifiable statements, this summary navigates through Ayer's thought-provoking classification of analytic, synthetic, and emotional expressions. Prepare to engage with a text that questions the very foundation of philosophical inquiry and aims to reshape rational discourse in the modern age.
The rise of logical positivism. Imagine being part of an intellectual revolution where age-old questions about the universe are addressed with the clarity and precision of science, rather than the speculative nature of metaphysics or religion. This transformation took shape towards the close of the 19th century, when a philosophical shift realigned the purpose of philosophy itself. Before this period, Western thinkers, from Aristotle to Kant, often sought answers in realms beyond our tangible experience, whether ideal or divine. These concepts gradually lost ground as breakthroughs in science provided tangible insights and explanations for the mysteries of the universe. No longer were philosophers content with relying on metaphysical or theological justifications. Enter the logical positivists, who drew inspiration from pioneers like David Hume and Ernst Mach. They asserted a radical, yet straightforward proposition: if the world we perceive is all there is, then understanding it must be rooted in observable and verifiable facts. Philosophy then should realign itself, walking hand in hand with science to dissect and describe reality, rather than delving into realms beyond the grasp of earthly evidence. Central to this philosophical evolution was logic, viewed by the logical positivists as an indispensable tool for discerning truth. They embraced logic not just as a branch of philosophy, but as a means to test the veracity of statements about the world. In their eyes, only statements that could be empirically verified held any meaningful truth. Consequently, speculations considered philosophical traditions, such as theology, religion, and even ethics, were dismissed. These were seen as mere expressions of personal preference rather than substantiated truths about the world. Such groundbreaking ideas met with diverse reactions. Supporters applauded the newfound clarity and rigor, while critics lamented the exclusion of morality and meaning, fearing it would leave humanity adrift in a world devoid of ethical anchors. This tension set the stage for further exploration into the nature of truth, marking a profound shift in philosophical inquiry that asked individuals to engage with the verifiable, in a pursuit not unlike scientific investigation. The language lens. Language is not just a tool of communication, it's fundamental to how we perceive and understand the world. The early philosophers might have treated language as a simple, transparent medium, but logical positivism revolutionized this view. In this philosophy, how we think and what we think is intricately linked to the language we use, and it's anything but neutral. To begin, one must discern what can truly be stated. Certain declarations, like, "it's raining outside," are straightforward and verifiable through direct observation. Others, such as, "all bachelors are unmarried men," don't require external verification. These are self-defining, known as analytic statements because the definition is embedded within them. Analytic statements prove invaluable in disciplines like science and mathematics as they establish clear, defining terms. In contrast, Ayer introduces another category, synthetic statements, like, "it's raining outside," which necessitate sensory verification. Then come the so-called meaningless statements, propositions like, "the universe is love," or "time is an illusion." These are deemed meaningless because they delve into realms beyond empirical confirmation and thus cannot be substantiated through observation. The complexity deepens with emotional utterances, for example, kindness is good or violence is wrong. To logical positivists like Ayer, these don't convey verifiable truths about the world and fall under the domain of emotions rather than factual declarations. Even moral pronouncements such as, love thy neighbor, reside in this emotional sphere, devoid of empirical grounding. A unique subset includes tautologies, expressions like all circles are round or it is what it is. These are true by their very logical structure, somewhat akin to analytic statements. They can be verified by logic alone but don't contribute any novel insights into our understanding of the world. By dissecting language and categorizing statements accordingly, logical positivism sheds light on the limitations and potentials of human discourse, challenging us to explore what can genuinely be understood and expressed. Language as a living game. Statements can fall into various kinds, largely depending on whether they are self-referential, self-defining, like tautologies, or unverifiable, including emotional expressions. However, not every fact-based statement requires external proof. Consider performative statements, which achieve outcomes merely by being spoken. When someone says, "I now pronounce you man and wife," they aren't verifying a fact but changing reality itself. Similarly, promising to buy dinner incorporates an outcome that can eventually be verified based on whether dinner occurs or not. Such promises link language directly to real-world consequences. Emotional expressions, on the other hand, like groaning about Mondays or lamenting a late report, convey subjective feelings. These emotional utterances don't necessitate validation outside oneself, as they define internal experiences. Within logical positivism, these statements neither state facts about the world nor can they be universally verified. Rather than dismiss them as devoid of meaning, they are confined to individual perspectives, thus not fitting within the logical positivist aim of describing external reality. Initially, this exploration of language sparked little interest within philosophical realms until its second arrival in 1946, gaining traction across the UK. However, challenges soon emerged. A notable critique came from Willard Quine, who questioned the distinction between analytic and synthetic statements. He suggested that language alteration, much like in poetry, reshapes even analytic propositions through metaphor and synonym, disallowing them to possess fixed meanings. A more profound challenge was posed by Ludwig Wittgenstein. His early work, the Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, laid a foundation for logical positivism. Yet, in the 1950s, he substantially reconsidered his previously stated views in philosophical investigations. This work argued against the idea of a fixed truth underlying language, proposing instead that language adapts and evolves with its usage and context. Hence, language transcends the constraints of a rigid formal system and thrives as a dynamic game, constantly reshaped by human interaction and understanding. Layers of verification. Ayer's philosophical quest sought to lay the groundwork for rational exchange by categorizing statements based on how verifiable they are. At the core of his theory lies the hierarchy of verification principles which aids in identifying the empirical basis of any statement. The strong verification principle classifies statements directly confirmed through observation, such as noticing if it's sunny outside by simply looking or feeling the sun's warmth. This principle forms the backbone of scientific practice, embracing clear-cut truths like all triangles have three sides or fundamental math equations. Realizing that not all assertions could meet this stringent standard, Ayer introduced a modified weak verification principle. This adjustment permits consideration of statements that aren't yet confirmed but could be in the future. For instance, historical claims like Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon remain outside direct verification until potentially unraveled by future discoveries. Similarly, assertions about climate change affecting weather patterns, though not definitively verified, exhibit growing evidence and may become conclusive. Moreover, Ayer recognized the necessity of probabilistic statements in scientific discussions. These involve predictions based on past observations, forming the basis for hypotheses that aim to explore the universe's intricacies and determine their truth or falsehood. Given the limitations of strong verification in capturing reality, weak verification fills a crucial gap. Philosophy, much like science, must navigate uncertainties. Even seemingly straightforward observations like, "it is sunny outside," are vulnerable to deception, and measurements depend on the precision of tools used. Thus, Ayer's framework provides a flexible yet structured approach to understanding knowledge, accommodating both what we see and what remains a future possibility. Chasing truth in philosophy. Logical positivists, keen on grounding philosophy in reality, inadvertently sparked a profound dialogue on language's role in shaping thought. While they aimed for a clear-cut, neutral language for philosophy, their efforts exposed the intricate nuances embedded in both science and life. This month has birthed ongoing discussions on language as not just a conduit but an active force in defining what we think and conceive. Amidst this philosophical landscape, Karl Popper's insights on scientific method reshaped the discourse. He argued that disproving hypotheses, rather than validating them, drives scientific progress. His falsification theory suggested that refuting a universal claim is more telling than attempting to verify its truth, challenging the logical positivist's emphasis on verification as the cornerstone of scientific inquiry. Parallel to these debates, Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorems profoundly undermined the notion of a comprehensive logical system. Gödel demonstrated that logic, as a formal system, would always have limitations, as not everything could be neatly verified or falsified, exposing an inherent incompleteness. Ethical philosophers, like Philippa Foot, joined this intellectual challenge, asserting that ethical and moral concepts hold value even if they elude traditional verification or falsification. This revelation widened the scope of philosophical inquiry beyond logic and empiricism, suggesting that meaning extends into realms that resist formal evaluation. The ripple effect of these debates transformed philosophy, compelling an interdisciplinary dialogue about truth and meaning, largely conducted through the lens of language. Just as Gödel anticipated, this pursuit may never reach a conclusive end, ensuring that the conversation about the boundaries of logic and the essence of truth remains perpetually vibrant and unfinished.
At the heart of language, truth, and logic lies a profound inquiry into how we ascertain truth and its implications on philosophical thought. Ayer's logical positivism proposes a paradigm where only statements verifiable through empirical observation hold philosophical significance. This perspective ignites a fiery debate, challenging traditional metaphysical and ethical discussions by labeling them as unverifiable and, therefore, meaningless within its framework. Yet, as the summary elucidates, this philosophy faced critical rebukes from contemporaries like Quine and Wittgenstein, who underscored the fluid and complex nature of language and epistemology. By championing the verifiable over the metaphysical, Ayer's legacy prompts us to scrutinize how we articulate and understand truth. While logical positivism may not provide all the answers, it undeniably opens new avenues for exploring the dynamic interplay between language, thought, and reality in our unending pursuit of knowledge.